Hi, Danny. Welcome to our little support group meeting here. I'm wondering, and thank you for taking the time to do this. I'm wondering if we can start with you letting people know a bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's my pleasure to be here with you tonight. My name is Dani. I go by Dani. Um, I have a disability. My disability is a spinal cord injury that I acquired about 12 years ago. I have I just said that, I have a spinal cord injury. So I do have paralysis in both my lower body and upper body. Um, I'm considered a quadriplegic. I just want to share that with you all because I'm sure, we share some, similarities functionally and how we do things day to day. I work for a company called Spinergy. They manufacture wheelchair wheels. So this company actually started back in the 90s making bicycle wheels. And my boss, who started the company, was approached by a wheelchair tennis player who said, "Hey, we don't have high performance wheels. We've got these, ancient, like heavy wheels. We need something lighter. Would you be willing to create a wheelchair version of your wheel, or your bike wheel for wheelchairs?" So we did. So now Spinergy is globally known as a really high performance wheelchair wheel, and I do marketing and social media for them. So that's my day job. On top of that, I am a new mom to twins. I had them last year in the middle, right when the pandemic hit. I gave birth to my twins April 2020. It was intense, very intense experience. I was actually involved in a documentary film about my pregnancy, which I'm going to talk more about. And and as well as all that, I'm also an advocate.
So next question, why do you think it's important to challenge society's perception of disabilities or people with disabilities?
I think it's crucial. I think it's so important to foster equity and justice for disabled people. I sort of want the focus to shift a little bit away from disability being seen just as a diagnosis, because I think society at large doesn't realize that it's so much more than just a diagnosis. When people sort of over medicalize us or kind of pathologize disability, it kind of makes us lose some humanity in their eyes, I think, and it objectifies us. So I think it's important to expand disability and see it as more than just a condition, but also a culture, a lifestyle, a community. And there's a lot of positive things in that, and I think society can kind of overcome some of their knee-jerk fears that they have when they see and hear about disability and approach it in a more positive light. I think all of this can, on a greater scale, affect positive change and policy change, just shifting these attitudes.
What have you found is the biggest challenge in being an advocate?
That's a tough question. I think just personal challenges, I really only, like I said, my disability was acquired 12 years ago. I only became an advocate when I kind of started shedding some of my own insecurities that I had about disability. When I started recognizing that I had digested some of these stigmas that exist in the world. And I had to just get rid of those to 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 become an advocate for myself and for others. And I've gotten to a place where it's all good. One of the challenges I find though is that I do still experience grief and pain in regards to my disability. But I'm sometimes scared to share that with people because I don't want that to undercut my mission. I don't want them to suddenly pity me and forget about all the important changes that need to be made.
So how did you change those insecurities or some of those stigmas you had taken upon yourself? How did you change that mindset?
100% was becoming part of this community, becoming part of this collective movement that is the disability community, getting to know other people with disabilities who were empowered. That rubbed off on me, especially other women, I think, because I was comfortable with them. So, hang on, sorry. Oh, hang on, I'm on a presentation. So yeah, I think that was the most important thing for me personally.
What is Dani's twins?
All right, so Dani's twins. I think some people joined a little bit late, so I'm not sure if you know, but I became a mother. I gave birth to twins last year, smack in the middle of the pandemic. So I'm one of the few quadriplegics, I think, in the US to have twins, which is interesting. It's not because we can't, it just happens to be rare. I mean, there's more men that are quadriplegics than women, so that kind of narrows the pool. And then of course, twins are more rare than singletons. But anyway, so I made a documentary about my pregnancy. And one of my very close friends, Brad Algood, approached me. He is a filmmaker. He makes films about that have social impact. And he's quite talented. And I trusted him as my friend. So I agreed to let him follow me during my pregnancy. And we started when I was around 20 weeks pregnant. And that was in February 2020. And the whole project was actually almost sabotaged by the pandemic because in mid-March, the film lockdown happened. Remember, none of us knew what was going on. And they said, we didn't want to quit. We had filmed so much. Rudy and I, my husband and I, had to film ourselves. So it was really interesting because this film, like nothing went according to plan, and the filmmakers had to be really creative with how they put together the footage, the beautiful professional footage that they captured with our kind of really shoddy footage that we had taken with our cell phones. And I filmed myself while I was in labor. It was wild. I was like, I've got to get this for the film, So yeah, and I'll share the trailer with all of you if you're interested in watching it. It's the film is not available yet. Hopefully it'll be available early next year. Right now it's gonna start making the rounds in the film festivals, and we're doing some focus groups around it. Yeah.
What is Quad Squad?
Quad Squad. So last year, I realized that there wasn't a dedicated space for quadriplegic women to gather and support each other. So I created a group called Quad Squad for anyone who identifies as a woman and a quadriplegic. Um, and quadriplegic, it could be really any disability that causes quadriplegia. It just have to be spinal cord injury. So anyone that has impairments in their lower and upper body level could be part of the group. But the reason that we really needed this space is we have such particular similarities, and one of the biggest things that ties us together is that most of us need caregivers. We need assistance to help us live our day-to-day lives. And this kind of creates a very particular kind of lifestyle. And it creates its own sort of dynamics within our relationships, within our partnerships, our marriages, our friendships. So we have a space now. It's on Facebook, and it's called Quad Squad.
So is that mainly how people get involved is through Facebook?
Yeah, for now. I mean, right now it's just a private support group, and people can, apply to the group, and then I'm the moderator, so I'll let them in. And maybe in the future it could expand to something else. Who knows?
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who is, say, newly quadriplegic and they don't know what to do, or they're feeling like giving up?
I'd say my first piece of advice would be to connect with other individuals who have disabilities and a peer support group. But I think it's also important to get together one-on-one and go out and do something fun. Not just support groups that meet at the rehab center, once a week, but like go out to a bar and get a drink and like kick it with each other. Have a good time and let people see you, and and being together with other disabled individuals right after you acquire a disability is really comforting, because you won't feel as insecure. You'll feel a little more confident going out because you've got someone else by your side who understands.
Do you have any advice for any new or expectant disabled mothers?
Advice? Yeah, a lot. Yeah, get plenty of sleep before you have the baby. But no, I think my advice has really been to make sure you get good maternal health care. So, reproductive care. So choose wisely when it comes to the obstetrician. I chose to go to a high-risk obstetrician. Well, in my case, I had to. So being a quadriplegic actually is not an indicator for high-risk pregnancy. There are some potential complications that can arise, but they're manageable. And honestly, any woman, whether she's disabled or not, can have complications. But what made my pregnancy high risk was the fact that I was having twins. So even an able-bodied woman having twins or more than two needs to go to a high-risk doctor. But what I liked, even if you have a disability and you're not high risk, I think it's important to consider seeing a high-risk OB, because they're used to working with people with disabilities and with either disabled mothers or women who are going to have disabled children. So they might have a little bit of a better bedside manner and more knowledge. And that's sort of comforting. I've heard some horror stories from women going to obstetricians that just either refuse care, pass judgment, don't think they should be having children, things like that. So remember that, you're in charge. You get to shop for your doctor, for your OB. If there's someone you don't like, move on, find a new one. And I know that's not always easy. There's limitations, geographical limitations and things like that, but it's important, especially when it comes to having a child or two or three, hopefully not three.
So lastly, where can people find you if they have questions?
So you can find me on social media. My handle is Dani, D-A-N-I, Izzie, I-Z-Z-I-E. I think, could you write that out in the chat box for me, Mark?
Yep.
You can also find out about the film on social media. The handle is Dani's Twins Film, D-A-N-I-S Twins Film. Dani'sTwinsFilm.com is another way to watch the trailer and follow updates in the film. Yeah, and I'd be glad to provide my email if anybody wants to follow up with me or ask questions.
Cool. Okay, so let me ask anyone who has any questions here to go ahead and use the raise their hand using their reaction button for raising your hand, and I will go ahead and get to you. Anyone? Going once, going twice. Okay, Amy, saw your hand.
Yeah, Dani, I like what you said. It didn't happen the way we planned. I think that is a good thing for everybody who has any kind of challenge in their life. Things often happen the way we don't plan.
Ain't that right? I didn't think I would become a quadriplegic. I did not think I was going to have twins. Oh my goodness.
Anybody else have a question or a comment?
David, I think, is raising his hand.
Oh, David, sorry. I didn't see you there. You're on like screen number 2 and I couldn't see you. Yeah.
I was adjusting the mute so I didn't have feedback. I wasn't
there's
I was just looking for the button.
Okay, gotcha.
No worries. Who had a somebody had their hand raised there.
Yeah, me.
Oh yeah, Maria.
I think I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
Sorry, David. Oh,
No worries.
Danielle, I love the fact that you said change doctors if you can't get one that understands you. You know, that just, I mean, I had an obstetrician in the country town I was living in, and he was supposed to be the best. And my ataxia grew at pregnancy, and so did my weight, like 5 kilos of weight. And I kept saying to him, I'm struggling. And he said, don't worry about it. I'm like, are you serious? I could hardly walk, could hardly move. And the problem is there was really no one else in town that I could go to. But I
Yeah.
strongly urge anyone, if they're not happy, go and find somebody else that is a little bit more sympathetic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, sometimes we feel that, well, doctors have the knowledge and they're in charge, but really we're in charge. I mean, we're paying them. So, if you don't like one, you find another. And like I said, it's easier said than done. But I mean, even now, like I'm struggling right now to find just a primary doctor that understands, what my needs. I'm having trouble getting pain, pain therapy, or I'm trying to get my pain under control, and I don't know how to accomplish that for a doctor.
So on one question on that note, I know other people have had questions like this before. Are there some criteria you have for identifying a good doctor and a doctor you want to stick with?
Yeah, so one of the first things I look at is just their bedside manner with me as a disabled woman. I need them to be comfortable with disability. I need to sense this natural ease, and I like to ask them if they've ever had a patient with a disability similar to mine. So that, I kind of understand where they're coming from. If I don't get that sense of ease right off the bat, it's usually not the right fit, to be honest. And I think there's a certain amount of intuition. We need to trust our intuition when we go into these things, because and also, like, doctors, how I was talking initially about seeing disability as more than just a diagnosis, seeing it also for all the other factors, lifestyle, culture, community. Doctors can also see disability beyond just the medical, will also treat us more as humans.
Okay, I'll give the last question to Amy. Amy, go ahead.
Dani, I wanted to ask you about your children and how you cope with that as a person that dealing with challenges. I was in a support group once where that a speaker talked about this program they had that was helping young mothers with babies who are dealing with any kind of challenge. So I wondered, since you're in Charlottesville, you have access to programs around there that will come help you. I wondered if you use those.
Support is very, very limited for me right now. It's been a huge challenge. First of all, the pandemic really restricted my access to support. Even initially, like I couldn't even get my family members at the beginning because we didn't know what the heck was going on. So we were just very, very cautious, because as a quadriplegic, I have my lungs are partially paralyzed. I have 30% lung capacity. And the babies, when I brought them home, were premature. So their lungs were also, underdeveloped. So we were really careful. So unfortunately, yeah, there's not much support. And I do live in a very rural area now, outside of Charlottesville. So there are not that many opportunities for that kind of thing. I also earn an income, which means that, I can't receive certain services. I can't get a caregiver here in the States with my amount of income, but at the same time, I can't afford a caregiver with my income. So I'm kind of in a bad spot with that.
Yes, it's a double-edged sword for sure.
It is a double-edged sword. So my husband and I have just, been doing what we can to make it work. And we do. We put the girls first. And I am very last. I'm very last. But I think, they're 18 months. And once they get a little bit older, I think finally I'll have some time for me again. It's time to take care of myself and hopefully get a caregiver someday. Right now, all the money is going into daycare twice a week. Not even all week, just twice a week. But
Okay, well, Dani, I'd like to thank you again for taking the time to speak with us, and have a good evening.
you guys too have a fantastic evening, and please connect with me on social media, or if you want my email, Mark, you're free to, and Amy or Courtney, whoever, you're free to provide anybody with my email address if anyone wants thinks about the questions.
Okay,
Thank you,
good.
Dani.
Thanks again,
Everyone
Dani.
have a great
Thank
night. Take care.
Thank you.